Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, July 24th edition of the MMAOB Daily podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. Going to be taking you guys through the latest in the world of mixed martial arts. First and foremost, guys, follow me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin. This podcast is available at MMAOddsbreaker.com. Please go to our YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe. Spread the word, guys. I'd appreciate it. Also, check me out at bjpen.com, MMAnews.com, and MMARings.net. Pretty good show today, actually, guys. I'm going to talk about UFC, the Dana White's Contender series last night, and then a bunch of UFC fight announcements afterwards. There was quite a few yesterday, so definitely going to be a good show today. Let's start with the Contender series from last night. Pretty good card. I mean, this whole season has actually been pretty good. I think there was that one event that disappointed, but overall, really good card. Let's start with it last night. So, first fight of the night, Billy Karantillo defeats Camuela Kirk by third-round TKO. I gave out Karantillo as an underdog pick yesterday. I just like the experience advantage, and it really did pay off in this fight. He basically was able to save himself from all the submission attempts in the first round by Kirk. I mean, it looked bad for a bit, no doubt about it. Kirk looked like he was going to get that rear naked choke, but Karantillo just muscled his way through it and just willed himself to win this fight. That's what Dana White said at the end of the show, and I agree with him. I mean, second round, he just came out blasting this guy with body shots. And Dana White loves those body shots. So, of course, he gave him a contract with the third round finish with body shots. I mean, this was a great performance by Karantillo after that first round. That was definitely not a good first round for him, but he persevered. He showed up in the second and third rounds. He gets the finish. So, great win by him. Picks up a win as an underdog. This guy, I mean, how he's going to do the UFC, I don't know, because his ground game definitely needs work. But as far as his pressure and aggression and his striking, it's pretty good. So, I'm actually curious to see how he does in the octagon. Pretty good fighter, I think, and I definitely agree with this contract being handed out to him. He deserves it for sure. Next up, we had Jamal Hill defeat Alexander Popik via second-round TKO. He started blasting this dude with, again, body shots, and Dana White loves the body shots, and who doesn't? I love body shots too. They're awesome to watch. So this guy was blasting this dude with knees and then gets him to the ground and beats him up with elbows from the mount. Popik was very tough. He was able to go almost the full 2 rounds, but eventually just his body gave out too much punishment, and Jamal Hill gets the second round knockout and also gets a contract. And it's hard to disagree with that contract too. Like Dana said in the post-fight interview with Laura Sanko, he said, hey, first round, this guy didn't really impress me. The second round, just so much aggression and the body shots, again, getting the finish. So, hey, 205 always needs prospects, right? This was a good signing, I think, by the UFC, and I'm curious to see how Hill does in the octagon because the guy definitely has some solid striking skills. Next up, we had the worst fight of the card. JJ Okanovich defeats Christian Losin via unanimous decision. And Dana White said this was an awkward fight. It just really wasn't a great fight. Neither guy obviously got a contract. Okanovich will get, I'm assuming, another fight in the Contender series. I mean, he won the fight, but they might just pass him this dude altogether. Definitely not a great performance by him. He gets the win, gets his win bonus, but not a great performance. And I'm, again, in agreement with Dana on not giving this guy a contract, although I would give him another shot. I mean, he did win the fight, so why not give him another shot? Next up, this was a crazy fight. Sean Woodson defeats Terrence McKinney via second-round flying knee, just like the Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal fight, man. Just that flying knee, and then the guy knocked out cold. But it played out completely different because McKinney was absolutely dominating Woodson the entire first round, did not get the finish, dominating the second round, lets him up, and then gets blasted with a flying knee, gets KO'd. So Woodson gets the knockout. He also got a UFC deal. Now, this was, I wouldn't say controversial by any means, but I think this was kind of a toss-up as far as Dana and the matchmakers go. I mean, yeah, the finish was awesome. It was a great finish. Shows this guy has got KO power. He's got finishing ability, but he was getting absolutely dominated for 2 rounds before that knockout. So I don't know how good this guy's going to be in the UFC. He is a young guy. He's undefeated, so he's got some potential. I think that's why they locked him up. They're like, hey, if we let this guy go, Bellator is probably going to sign him. So they figured, you know what, let's just sign this guy and see how he does in the UFC. I'm not sure. I hope they move him up slowly because he's got a lot of holes in his game, especially in the grappling. And to be honest with you, I think McKinney will probably make it to the UFC, and I think McKinney might even end up having a better career in the UFC. So it's one of those fights where, yes, Woodson won, and he gets his hand raised, he gets the contract, but I think McKinney will get another shot in the Contender Series maybe next year, and I think that he could eventually be in the UFC himself. But you know what? I can't blame Dana for giving the contract up to this guy because he did get a flying knee knockout. You don't see those that often. But at the same time, I don't know. He had a lot of holes in his game, so we'll see what happens there. Main event of the evening, Ramazan Kuramagomedov defeats Jordan Williams via split decision. This was a crazy fight. These guys just slugged it out for 3 rounds. And really, it was a toss-up when it went to the scorecards. You really could have given it to either guy. Dana said he scored for Williams. One judge had it 30-27 for Williams. I think the other two had it 29-28 for Magomedov. So close fight. Could have went either way, but Magomedov gets the win. He does not get a contract, though. Dana passed on him because he said he thought Williams won the fight. And here's my question. Why didn't Dana give a contract to Williams then? Yeah, sure, he lost the fight, but so what? I mean, it's Dana's show, man. He can still give a contract out. He's like, oh, well, he lost the fight. I can't give him a deal. Why not? If you thought he won the fight, Dana, why not give him a contract? To me, it's like, this is his show, has his name on it. It's all his decisions. He's the one who picks the deals with Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard. If he thought this guy won the fight and he was impressed by his performance and he thought the judges blew the call, why not just give him a deal? To me, it's just, Dana's very confusing with the way he picks his fighters sometimes. I'm not sure if I would have given him a deal, but if Dana thought that he deserved it, why not give him the contract then? You know, he's like, oh, well, if one other judge had it, one other round his way, he would have got a deal. Very strange to me. I mean, yes, you don't want to set a precedent that if the guy loses, he's going to get a deal. But at the same time, judges do blow fights in MMA. And if Dana really did think that Williams won the fight, why not just give him a deal? Kind of weird to me. I mean, again, he's the one who makes these decisions. But sometimes Dana's decisions are just very strange. Like, he was more impressed by this guy than the Woodson guy, or the Woodson fight, I should say. And Woodson gets the deal because he lands a Hail Mary knockout, but this guy doesn't get it after slugging it out for 3 rounds and really going toe-to-toe and trying to win the fight every round. Kind of weird, man. I think they should have signed one of these guys from this fight, if not both guys. I mean, why not sign both guys? Remember the Ultimate Fighter, Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner? I mean, they ended up signing both guys, right? So it's one of those things. I think Dana's got to just be like, you know what, this is my show. I can do what I want, and just sign a guy, even if the guy loses, but he thinks he won. Why not? That's just my opinion about that. So either way, 3 guys get the finish, get the contracts, and it looks like if you finish your fight on the Contender Series, you're going to get a deal. So that's the key, it looks like, guys. You get a finish, you get a contract in the UFC. Congrats to those 3 fighters for making it to the UFC. We'll see how they do in the octagon. But, yeah, even some of the losers, though, will definitely be back. It was a pretty good show last night. And, I mean, overall, I think it's been a really good summer of fights. And Contender Series is awesome. So I love it, and I think a lot of fans do too. And it's great that it's 5 fights and they go back and back to back and back. It's great. It's just, you can get through it really quick. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about some fight announcements now. There was quite a few yesterday. Most notable, Chris Weidman versus Dominick Reyes is headlining UFC Boston. It's a light heavyweight fight, 5 rounds. This is on October 18th, I believe, in Boston. So pretty crazy fight, pretty crazy matchup here. I like it. Chris Weidman, obviously former UFC middleweight champion, 35 years old now, so he's definitely getting up there in age. Lost 4 of his last 5 fights. Lost to Drakkar last winter by knockout. Hasn't fought since then. Last win over Calvin Gastelum almost exactly 2 years ago today, till 2 days ago. So Chris Weidman's still a stud, but you know, we'll see how he does at 205. And then he takes on Dominick Reyes, who is an absolute beast. I mean, do I like the fight? I like the fight. Don't get me wrong. Reyes is 11-0, by the way, and he's 5-0 in the UFC, so he's a stud. I like the matchup, but I feel like Reyes should have got a guy that was already ranked in the top 5. Like, Weidman's not ranked. Yes, he's a former champ, but it's like Blachowicz when he fought Rockhold. Like, he fought a guy that was unranked, knocked him out, great win, but it's like, what did it really get him? I don't know where Blachowicz is going to go from there. And same with Reyes. Like, they probably should have did that matchup if anything. So, I don't know. I think I would have did that fight instead, personally, Blachowicz versus Reyes, but UFC wanted to do Weidman versus Reyes. I guess they're banking on Weidman's just name to sell that card in Boston. It's a good fight. I like the matchup. I'm just thinking that Reyes really deserved a top 5 opponent based on his win streak, based on his undefeated streak. And for Weidman, I mean, hey, good for him, man. He landed a top 5 guy in his first fight at 205, so good for him. But I don't really like the matchup for him. I think Reyes probably wins this fight. The guy's just a stud, and you know, more momentum right now. And Weidman definitely has taken more damage in his career, so I like Reyes in this fight. But definitely, it's a good fight. Don't get me wrong, guys. I like the matchup, but I'm just saying I think Reyes deserved a little better as far as a ranked opponent goes. All right, next up, another fight announcement. I did talk about these yesterday with Cole Shelton on the preview podcast for UFC 240. Hannah Goldy will be making her UFC debut against Miranda Granger. So this is just really weird. I mean, listen, I actually think she's decent, and after the fight against Kaylee Robbins in Contender Series, I thought that she could get a deal or even a developmental contract. It's just weird how she gets a deal now, but they passed on Brian Lofton, who fought in the same card and put up that great war. Very strange. Just Dana, again, being so stubborn. And PFL went and signed Lofton yesterday, so great signing for them. And anyways, the UFC gets Goldy. She's 5-0, 4-0, actually 5-0. Sorry, she is 5-0 according to Tapology. And Granger is also, I believe, 5-0. Actually, she has 6-0 record at Tapology. So both really good prospects for sure. Granger has been finishing all her fights. I think you got to favor her, but Goldy's definitely a physical specimen. She's a good fighter. Like I said, I thought she could have got a deal after that show. It's just really weird how she gets a deal now and Lofton got passed over. Just so strange. Something must have gone on behind the scenes we didn't know about, guys. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, interesting fight between two prospects. I'm not sure if I would have matched up two prospects like this at such a, early stage of their career in the UFC, but we'll see what happens. Next up, Drakkar Klose taking on Christos Giagos at UFC 241. That's the Anaheim card later next month. DC versus Stipe 2. Drakkar Klose, 4-1 in the UFC. Back-to-back wins over Bobby Green and Lando Venata. He was supposed to fight Beneil Dariush a couple weeks ago. Fight got canceled last second. It's Christos Giagos. He is, first time he's in the UFC, went 1-2, and since then he's 2-1. So overall, I think he's 3-3. So you know what? He actually showed quite a bit in that last fight against Damir Hadzovic. Looked really good. It was his best performance in the UFC, and will be fighting basically in his hometown here. So that's interesting. I definitely like Klose, though. I think he's a better fighter, more well-rounded. I think Klose wins this fight, but Giagos definitely surprised me the last time we saw him. UFC China, that's at the end of August. Song Kenan taking on Derrick Krantz. Song Kenan, pulling these guys out right now. Song Kenan is, 1 second here. Song Kenan, 14-5 record. He's 2-1 in the UFC, knocked out Bobby Nash and Hector Aldara. They lost to Alex Morono in his last fight, taking on Derrick Krantz, who lost by knockout to Vicente Luque in his UFC debut. Definitely a good fight here. Both guys that are sluggers are going to go and bomb it at each other, which is going to be sweet to watch. But I don't know. It's a tough one to call. I mean, Song's going to be fighting in China, so that should give him an advantage. But Krantz, I think, is the better fighter. So really could go either way. I would kind of lean towards Krantz, I think, but definitely an interesting fight. Next up, UFC Mexico City. Angela Hill takes on Istela Nunes. She's making her UFC debut. Angela Overkill Hill. Let's pull her out here. Angela Hill, 9-7 record, and we know how inconsistent she is. She's lost 3 of her last 4 fights. Just so inconsistent. And at times she can look pretty good, and then other times she just doesn't look like a UFC caliber fighter. To me, this is her last chance to stay in the UFC. I think if she loses this fight, they're going to have to cut her, and I don't know if she'll get another shot. And then she takes on Istela Nunes here, 7-1 and 1 no contest. She actually lost to Angela Lee in one championship 2 fights ago, and then picked up another win in one. She's a 1 veteran. Interesting signing here. Definitely, I think she's got some potential for sure. The loss to Lee's not that bad. Angela Lee's a pretty good fighter, but we'll see what happens here. I don't know. I think you got to kind of pick against Hill every time she fights these days. So I kind of lean towards Nunes, but we'll see what happens. It should be a decent fight, though. I think it's probably going to be pretty exciting, and they'll both slug it out. Next up, UFC 243. 2 fights here announced. Tai Tuivasa against Sergey Spivak. That's a heavyweight bout. Pulling up Tai here. Tai, this guy's frustrating to watch. 26 years old, young guy, got a lot of KO power, but the last 2 fights against Ivanov and Dos Santos, disappointing. Especially the Ivanov fight, just did not look good in that fight. And why was that fight in the main card of UFC 238? So weird. Terrible decision by the UFC. Takes on Sergey Spivak in his next fight. Sergey Spivak lost to Walt Harris in his UFC debut, as we know, by KO in the first round. We know how good Walt Harris is now, so not a terrible loss by any means, but and he had some decent wins before that. Travis Fulton and Tony Lopez. So he picked up some wins over some really quality, I guess, journeymen. I mean, Travis Fulton, you talk about a journeyman. That guy has 257 wins. It's insane. He has the most wins in MMA history. Also, I think the most losses with 54, or it might be Shannon Rich, who he actually just fought apparently. Shannon Rich has 87 losses. Yeah, it's going to be, I think Shannon Rich has the most losses. I didn't know they fought. That's funny. They fought a few months ago, actually. Anyways, yeah, I think for sure you got to favor Tuivasa fighting in Australia. That's on the Melbourne card. As Sarnia versus Whitaker, so definitely got to favor him. And the other fight is Nadia Kassem versus Jin Yeon Kim, also on the Australia card. Nadia Kassem, pulling her out here. Nadia Kassem, she is only 23, so she's really young still. 1-1 in UFC. Beat Alex Chambers, then lost to Montalvo De La Rosa. Not a bad loss. Taking on Kim here, who is 2-2 in the UFC. Beat Fabian and Kish. Lost to Pudilova and Shevchenko. Yeah, another fight can go either way, but I think you got to favor Kassem again. Fighting in her home country, she'll be fired up for that. Younger fighter, I think the better fighter, but we'll see what happens there. So overall, there's some good fight announcements today. I'm just looking at Travis Fulton's record, by the way, guys. Just check him out, Travis Fulton. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the really classic journeymen in MMA. I mean, this is crazy how many fights he has. He has 400 fights. It's crazy, almost 400. So, guy's a stud. Even though he's not winning fights, I mean, the fact that he's been around that long is just incredible. Anyways, guys, so I think that's it for today's show. Just wanted to talk about that stuff, all those fights and UFC, Dana White's contender series, I should say. What else? UFC 240. That's what I was going to mention. This weekend, that's this Saturday. Myself and Cole Shelton, we did a podcast yesterday breaking down the entire card. So definitely check that out, guys. It was a good podcast, and Cole talked about his interview with Frankie Edgar. So definitely check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at MMAOB. This podcast is available at MMAOddsbreaker.com and on our YouTube channel. And I apologize for the technical difficulties again yesterday. I had some internet issues, which I wasn't aware about, unfortunately, until the podcast was over, and I couldn't re-record because I had to go to a funeral afterwards. So I apologize for that, guys. I hope it doesn't happen again. I'm really sorry about that. I know it's a frustrating experience, so I apologize for that, guys. Also, check me out at bjpenn.com, mmanews.com, and mmarings.net. Got articles coming out all week, guys. I appreciate you tuning in, as always, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, breaking down whatever happened tonight in the crazy world we call the world of mixed martial arts. Have a good one, guys.